Most of us have had the same small moment of satisfaction. You finish a drink, rinse the bottle, toss it into the recycling bin and think, great, I've done my part. Then the bottle disappears. A truck takes it away, and for most of us, that is where the story ends. But that simple act raises a much bigger question. Where do recycled plastics actually go? Do they become new bottles? Do they get turned into something else? Do they get shipped overseas? Or do some still end up in landfill anyway? The answer is more complicated than the recycling symbol on the package suggests. Because plastic recycling is not one simple, perfect loop. It is a messy industrial system involving trucks, sorting machines, workers, warehouses, contamination, and global markets. In other words, it is hidden infrastructure. And once you see it, the recycling bin starts to look less like a finish line and more like the start of a very uncertain journey. So in this video, we are going to follow that journey from your bin to the sorting facility, to recycling plants, and sometimes to landfill, incineration, or entirely different products. Also, fair warning, this story contains quite a lot of conveyor belts. Hidden infrastructure really does love a conveyor belt. Recycling is often presented as something simple. You buy something in plastic, you use it, you put it in the right bin. It gets turned into something new. That is the promise. And sometimes, to be fair, that does happen. Some plastic bottles really are collected, sorted, cleaned, shredded, melted, and turned into raw material for new products. But plastic is not one material. It is a whole family of materials with different chemical properties, different uses, and different recycling potential. A water bottle is not the same as a yogurt pot. A detergent bottle is not the same as cling film. A clear drinks bottle is not the same as a black takeaway tray. So the moment all of these items enter the same recycling stream, the system becomes more difficult. And once you add food residue, labels, dyes, mixed materials, and random wrong bin items, things get even messier. So when you put plastic into the recycling bin, you are not putting it into a guaranteed loop. You are putting it into a sorting contest, and the plastic has to survive several rounds before it has any chance of being recycled. After pickup, your plastic bottle, tub or tray is collected with thousands of other items and taken to a materials recovery facility, often called an MRF. This is where the real separation work begins. When the truck unloads, the recyclables are dumped onto a floor in a huge mixed pile. From there, loaders feed the material onto conveyor belts. At this stage, it is still a jumble. Paper is mixed with cans. Cardboard is mixed with bottles. Plastic containers are mixed with things that should never have been there in the first place. The facility sorts this material using a mix of machines and manual labor. Some machines separate flat materials like paper from rolling containers. Magnets pull out steel. Other systems remove aluminium. Screens sort items by size and shape. Then come optical sorters, some of the most important machines in the process. These machines use sensors to identify different plastics. When they spot the right item, jets of air push it into the correct stream. It is clever, fast, and surprisingly dramatic for a machine whose main job is basically spotting bottles. But even with all this technology, the system is far from perfect. Because plastic is difficult to sort cleanly, especially when it is dirty, crushed, wrapped in labels, made from multiple materials, or simply not designed with recycling in mind. And that brings us to one of the biggest issues in plastic recycling: purity. If you want to turn used plastic into useful new material, you need a fairly clean and consistent input. That means similar plastic types, similar colors, minimal contamination, and as few non-plastic attachments as possible. But household waste is messy. A clean water bottle is one thing. A peanut butter jar with residue inside is another. A clear bottle is more useful than a dark-colored one. A soft plastic bag can wrap around machinery and cause major problems. Then there is wish cycling, when people throw something into the recycling bin because they hope it is recyclable even if they are not sure. It sounds harmless, maybe even optimistic, but wish cycling slows the system down and creates extra waste. So here is the first big reality check. Not everything that goes into the recycling bin gets recycled. Some items are removed because they are the wrong material. Some are rejected because they are too dirty, some are too difficult to sort, and some are simply too low in value to process. So even before recycling properly begins, part of the plastic stream is already being filtered out. Now we get to one of the most confusing parts of the story: plastic types. You may have seen the numbered symbols on plastic packaging, the resin codes inside the little triangle. But that symbol does not automatically mean the item is recyclable where you live. Often it only identifies the type of plastic, not whether your local system can actually process it. In general, the plastics most commonly recycled are PET, often used for clear drinks bottles, and HDPE, often used for milk jugs, detergent bottles, and shampoo containers. These plastics are widely collected because they are relatively valuable and easier to reprocess. Other plastics are much harder. Plastic films and bags are difficult in standard curbside systems. Foam containers are often not practical to recycle widely. PVC can create chemical complications. Multi-layer packaging, like crisp packets or food pouches, is especially difficult because it combines different materials in ways that are hard to separate. Great for keeping snacks fresh, not so great for recycling. So from the start, the system is selective. Some plastics have a decent chance, some have a slim chance, and some are basically showing up to an exam they were never going to pass. So what happens to the plastic that does make it through sorting? Once separated, it is compacted into dense bales and sent on to the next stage. Some of these bales go to domestic reprocessing plants. There, the plastic is cleaned, shredded into flakes, washed again, melted, and turned into pellets or other raw material that manufacturers can use. Those pellets may then become new packaging, plastic lumber, containers, fibers, piping, or other products. This is the path most people imagine when they think of recycling. But not all plastic stays in the country where it was collected. Historically, a significant amount of plastic waste has been exported overseas, especially when local processing capacity was limited or when global markets made export cheaper. That does not automatically mean it is dumped irresponsibly. Some exported material is genuinely processed and reused, but the outcomes vary. Some becomes usable recycled material, some is downcycled into lower value products, some is rejected later, and some still ends up burned, buried, or leaking into the environment. So when we ask where recycled plastics actually go, the honest answer is this: some go to real recycling, some go to lower grade reuse, some go abroad, and some go nowhere useful at all. That leads to another important question. Why does so much plastic still end up in landfill or incineration? One reason is contamination. Food residue, mixed materials, liquids, and non-recyclable items make processing harder and more expensive. Another is economics. Recycling is not just a technical challenge, it is also a market. If new virgin plastic is cheaper and easier for manufacturers to use, recycled plastic struggles to compete. There is also the issue of degradation. Unlike glass or metal, plastic often loses quality during mechanical recycling. That means it cannot always be recycled over and over in the same way. So instead of becoming another bottle, a bottle might become fleece, carpeting, plastic lumber, or a lower grade container. That is still recovery, but it is often downcycling rather than a perfect closed loop. And finally, many products are simply not designed for recyclability. Dark plastics can be difficult for machines to detect. Flexible films wrap around equipment. Mixed material packaging is hard to separate. Labels, glues, dyes, and additives all make the process harder. So a lot of plastic is designed for convenience at the front end and trouble at the back end, which is a bit like designing a suitcase that falls apart at the airport. Still, when recycling does work, recycled plastic can become a surprising range of things. It can become new bottles in some cases. It can become clothing fibers, carpets, benches, decking, bins, trays, piping, or industrial products. So recycling is not pointless, but it is not magical either. It works best when the plastic is clean, well sorted, in demand, and actually designed to be recycled in the first place. So what would make the system work better? Simpler packaging design would help. Better collection and sorting systems would help. Stronger local reprocessing capacity would help. Better policy and producer responsibility would help. And less contamination would help. But the biggest reality is this: recycling can help, but it cannot solve unlimited plastic production on its own. So where do recycled plastics actually go? Some go to sorting lines, where machines and workers separate the useful from the contaminated. Some are baled and sent to reprocessing plants. Some are turned into pellets and made into new products. Some are downcycled into fibers, benches, bins, or construction materials. Some are exported, some are rejected, some are burned, and some are buried. That does not mean recycling is fake, but it does mean it is complicated. The plastic you place in the bin enters a hidden industrial network full of trade-offs, limits, engineering challenges, and market pressures. What happens next depends on the type of plastic, how clean it is, how the local system works, what the market wants, and whether the product was realistically recyclable to begin with. The real story of plastic recycling is not a perfect green circle. It is a chain of infrastructure decisions. And the better we understand that chain, the better we can improve it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to Hidden Infrastructure of the World. Also, comment down below what hidden infrastructure you want to see next. See you in the next video.